Hey folks, so this is the first part of the Chronicles of the OCD Institute at McLean Hospital in Massachusetts. I'm going to be separating it into, let's see, one, two, three, like five different episodes. Going to talk about what I went through and witnessed for contamination OCD, intrusive thoughts, checking compulsions, scrupulosity, and hoarding. I attended the OCD Institute at McLean Hospital back in 2006, the month of January, and I stayed there, I believe, for 6 weeks. And I personally went there for contamination OCD, even though, in the past, and, things switch every once in a while. In the past, I had suffered from intrusive thoughts, definitely checking compulsions, scrupulosity, definitely. Never a hoarder. But this first episode, I'm gonna talk about my experience and why I went there was for contamination OCD. Most of my obsessions and compulsions had to do with my music gear. I play guitar, play bass, and those things just became like I had a hard time picking up the guitars and playing them. I always needed one of like a guitar, like a cheap guitar that you're not afraid to scratch or you know use. And I kind of got into um, just having to control my environment in order for me to go and enjoy my music gear, which was very difficult. So things that I were, just weird things. It's like picture, and I knew it was irrational, but like picture, like my music room, and if I were to get like even a little piece of dirt on the rug, somehow in my mind that dirt just like spread all over the room, and somehow, I could. It's abrasive. It could scratch one of my guitars. Very, very irrational thinking, but even though I knew that I had been diagnosed with OCD, it didn't really help anything. And buying guitars and amps and pedals, it made me miserable more than anything else. But it was my passion, and it was just so hard. Like I'd get a guitar, and it's like I'd have to wear, like gloves to pick it up because I was so afraid to scratch. And it's like, well, I'm gonna have these guitars that are gonna stay brand new. I'm not gonna play them. I'm just gonna look at them. Which you buy a guitar, it's a tool. It's a tool to create music. Um, so I always had to have like a shitty guitar, and that I wasn't afraid to play because it was already like scratched or didn't have it wasn't that expensive compared to the other ones. So a lot of it just you know revolved around that, and so I had to control my environment for many years. With like taking your shoes off at the door to before I went to play guitar. I had to vacuum. I had to take a shower. If I went outside and came back inside, like the rules that I made up in my head were, I can't go play guitar right now because I'm like contaminated somehow. Maybe I went outside and I went to get the mail, and someone drove by on the dirt road near my house, and like I got dust on me or something, and dust that could be abrasive, so that could scratch my music equipment. And like other things too, like my CDs and DVDs, like that was all stuff that whatever was in that music room, I held it like to to the highest. I just like kind of worshipped all these material things that that were in my room. So imagine. So you go to McLean, and you start out. Let's say you start out with a straight piece of paper like this, so it's not folded. Pretend this is not folded. Okay, so if I fold it this way, when I go to open it, it's not going to be perfectly straight anymore because it's already been folded. So in order to like get it as straight as possible, you'd have to fold it the other way, this way, so that when you straightened it out, it's not going to be perfectly straight, but straighter than it was. And that's exactly what they did at the OCD Institute with ERP, exposure response prevention, was they break you. And for me, the things that they had me do for contamination, I mean, I had so much anxiety, but with ERP, that's how it works. It's like you start off, your anxiety is up to here, but the more you do it, we'd go to meetings at night to, rate what our anxiety levels were, and the more you do it, the lower it becomes. It's like it becomes habitual. It becomes okay to do. So the first thing they had me do was just like rub my hands on the floor. The place where we all stayed wasn't that clean, and it was done like that on purpose. So just rub my hands on the floor, and then rub it all over me, whatever, and just kind of sit with that. I actually brought a guitar so that I could, after rubbing my hands or picking up dirt or whatever, they wouldn't allow you to wash your hands. I mean, you could wash your hands, but you're not really helping yourself. You want to go there, you want to do the work. So so that was tough. But the thing that comes to mind the most was in the morning, after everybody had showered, they would make me stand there. Well, again, I wanted to stand there. I wanted to do this. And they would put everybody's used towels and washcloths all over me. And I'd have to stand there for a half hour. And as you can imagine, like the first time, I just like, I just wanted to scream because the anxiety was just so high, and I'm standing there and I'm like, whose used washcloth is this? What did they wash with that? And you're looking at the other shoulder, and you're looking, what's on your head, and it was just like, it was awful. And I thought to myself, like, not even people that don't have OCD, they would think that they would have anxiety over it, And I remember like that first meeting, I was upset. I was really having a bad day because of, what had happened, because of course, like after that, I had to go to my room and, pick up my guitar, play my guitar. So, with, knowing that, I don't know, someone, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Someone, washed their ass with this washcloth, and, just everything is like you're thinking of everything, especially with someone with OCD. Like, we tend to overthink and overanalyze, and so I'm like going through all these, different stories in my head. But the next day, it was the same thing. We did it again. And by the end of the first week, the anxiety was like starting to come down, but we kept at it. I mean, this is something that I did it for at least 3 out of the 6 weeks. This is one of the exercises. What else? I mean, they'd have me like, it was winter time, so they'd have me take dirt, put it in my pockets, my winter jacket, just stuff that, I mean, like I mentioned a while ago, like if there was like a minuscule piece of dirt, even in my music room at home, to me, that you might as well have just thrown buckets of dirt all over the place, because that irrational thinking was there, and it was believable. Another thing they had me do, they had me go into the shower room and touch the drain area after everyone had showered that morning, and again, just rub it all over me. So we used to go on these outings. There was like a little van, and everyone would get in there, and we'd all go to the Burlington Mall in Massachusetts, and everyone would practice ERP there. So for me, we'd go to the men's room, and they would have me touch the toilet seats. And again, once I touch the toilet seats, I can't wash my hands, and I'm rubbing it all over myself. And after, you still can't wash your hands after that, even though the insides of the stalls. And I mean, at one point, I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm working hard doing this. I remember like I started doing push-ups, from the toilet seat. Sit on the toilet seat with my pants on, and then all these, like, you're thinking about all like the germs and the bacteria that you just got all over yourself. And then they would say, if you want to get a bagel or something, you can get a bagel, but you're not going to wash your hands. So it's just, like I said, they really broke you. But again, that first meeting at night, out of 1 to 10, what's your anxiety? 10. But the more we went on those outings, and the more that I did this gross stuff, it became habitual, and just bothered me less. Why? Because it didn't, I'm still alive. It didn't kill me. It didn't hurt me. It's just proof that what goes on in the mind of someone with OCD and all our compulsions and everything, you realize that if you don't do the compulsion and you just sit with it for a bit and take time, you can get through it. Because we're so used to, you touch something, I gotta wash my hands. You end up washing your hands like 30 times a day or whatever. So with that, when I left there, you're supposed to continue ERP when you get home, but I mean, I wasn't going to do that extreme stuff when I got back home. But everything, when I got back home, everything that I used to think was dirty seemed so clean compared to where I was staying at McLean's OCD Institute. Things were great. I'm like, wow, this floor, even if it hasn't been vacuumed or washed in a week, I mean, that's 50 times better than it was at, McLean. So now, like, 2024, I don't want to ever go to McLean again. But when I'm in a situation, and using cognitive behavioral therapy, asking myself questions, like I'm in a predicament, I think that I'm contaminated, for example, I'll, blow one of my bike tires, with a pump, and you're touching the tire, and the tire's dirty, and it's like you want to wash your hands, but then I'm looking at them, and like they're fine, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I do at McLean? I actually like grabbed dirt, put it in my pockets of my jacket, touched the toilet seats, touched people's washcloths and towels, and when I think of that and how extreme it was, it really helps me to think more rationally about, things like I'm pumping up a bike tire and I touch the tire and, whatever. It's like, that's nothing compared to what I went through. So ERP is very useful, but it's not easy. And anyone who practices it, I have very much respect for them. It's something that you have to do daily. One of my, I see a psychologist weekly, been going on for, the past 10 years. And I said something one time and it stuck with him, and he keeps saying it, but time is what is going to help. It takes time. You go through a situation, you're triggered, you want to do the compulsion, but if you just take time and just sit there and try to reason with yourself, eventually, with time being your ally, which was my quote, "Time is my ally," you're able to realize just how ridiculous this irrational thinking is. So that's my first episode in the Chronicles of the OCD Institute at McLean Hospital, contamination. And I'm not sure what topic I'll choose for the second episode, but I just wanted to share this one with you. I think for me, still to this day, out of all the different types of OCD, contamination OCD is my main issue. But I've come a long way, and ERP it's very important. Also, too, at this point, I am going through deep transcranial magnetic stimulation at MUSC, Medical University of South Carolina, for depression, but some of it crosses over to OCD because they do have the OCD specific one. That's not the one that I'm doing right now. I'm doing one for depression, but they did say that even if because it's a different part of the brain, even if it's for depression, some of it crosses over into OCD. And right now, being away from home and being in this Airbnb that I'm staying in, I'm really trying to change my habits, walking around with my shoes on, going to the beach and, I got sand on my feet and I walk in and I don't vacuum, stuff like that. I'm really trying to take advantage of this time that I have to maybe, in a way, normalize what people without OCD do every day. Because doing compulsions every day, it's just not a way to live. It's exhausting. When you gotta, continuously wash the floor, vacuum, whatever. I mean, it's exhausting, and there's so much bandwidth that, it takes from you. And it's not a way to live. The work is hard, and, none of us asked to have OCD, but, with hard work, we can all get through it, most definitely. If you have any questions, please just drop me a comment or whatever on YouTube. My YouTube site again, it's bruce.ocd.mystory. And if you want to subscribe, I would really appreciate that and like it. It'll help me. I just want to get the word out. You're not alone. A lot of us have obsessive compulsive disorder, and if we can help each other out, that there's no better medicine than that. That support. So with that, this is the end of the first episode, and get back to you when I do the second episode.